The mainstream media is lying about Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl halftime ratings, and now they're caught red-handed. Today we'll tell you just how low viewership went, dropped, and yes, folks, the receipts are in. Half of all audiences exited their TV screens when Bad Bunny came on the scene. But the media, they don't want you to know what we're about to bring. And hold it, ladies and gentlemen. I got to cut in right now and break into a video that we had prepared for you to go today with breaking news brought your way. I'm going to explain what the heck is going on with the Nielsen numbers and Samba and all of that, and then we'll get back to your regularly scheduled truth-telling expertise. We'll get to the Samba stuff in just a minute, but first of all, I want to talk about what just came out last night, and this is what I've got here on X, so that you understand how the game is played. Samba measured households watching the Super Bowl and Super Bowl halftime on TV. Nielsen changed the way they measured the ratings and admit it in the fine print. They're counting devices, internet impressions, out-of-home viewing, etc. Here are the numbers, folks, coming in from Nielsen, and we'll get to Samba in just a minute, as I promised. Samba says that the halftime show featuring Bad Bunny dropped 38%, and I believe them, and I'll explain why. Nielsen has something else, but you got to understand what's going on. The propaganda here is off the charts. It's unbelievable. And you don't have to buy into a conspiracy. I'm literally going to show it to you right now, how they're fudging the numbers. This says Super Bowl 60 delivers 124.9 million viewers. This is the Nielsen press release that came out late last night. It says February 10th, 2026. An estimated 124.9 million viewers watched Super Bowl 60 on Sunday, February 8th, according to Nielsen's Big Data Plus panel measurement. Now, don't miss that. You could just read over that and be like, well, that's just Nielsen. No, it's not. There's something here you got to see. They're faking the numbers. They're lying to your face. Well, they're not lying, but it's easily misleading. And I'm going to unmislead you. NBC's presentation of Super Bowl 60 ranks as the second most watched Super Bowl in history. No, it does not. And I'll show you again in this article, in this press release, behind the 127.7 million viewers who watched last year's Super Bowl. This, they say, is the first Super Bowl to be reported using Nielsen's Big Data Plus panel measurement methodology. Oh, really? Okay, well, what's that? It says it was officially rolled out in September of 2025, but this is the first time they've ever used it. Big Data Plus panel provides the most accurate TV measurement to date. Oh, really does it? What is it? Now, it goes on to talk about the halftime show featuring Bad Bunny averaged 128, which means, by the way, folks, if, let's see, the second quarter, it says, oh, there we go. Viewership peaked at 137.8 million viewers during the second quarter. The halftime show comes after the second quarter. So they're measuring that 10 million people left the halftime show. Okay, that adds up exactly. Remember, folks, we were looking at the concurrent viewers for TPUSA. TPUSA appears to pull 10 million people away from the halftime show. Yep, makes sense, right? Okay, but get ready, because here's what's different. Audience estimates are inclusive of out-of-home and digital viewing. Out-of-home means they're just assuming now the number of people who are in bars, hospitals, airports, etc. watching it. And digital viewing now, we don't know what this is exactly. Are these internet impressions? This is just like viewing something on social media. If you see a highlight on X, does that count as digital viewing? Mobile PC, MVPD app. Scroll down with me. Okay, folks, by the way, just look at this, okay? Since 2021, okay, the numbers got bad. 95 million. Oh, that's bad. Under 100 million. That's really bad. And they've been going up steadily. Now, how did that happen? Well, scroll down with me here, and it says this. This is the fine print that nobody reads and tells you about. Super Bowl 60 in 2026 was the first Super Bowl reported using Nielsen's Big Data Plus panel methodology. All prior reporting used Nielsen's panel-only measurement. Now, what that means is that the numbers here are not being measured the same. So when you see that the numbers for Super Bowl 60 drop by 3 million, it's far worse than that. Because up until this Super Bowl, up until now, they never measured whatever the heck they're measuring with mobile devices that they don't explain. Now, if you're an advertiser, maybe it's helpful to know how many people are viewing this stuff mobily. But this is why Samba's accurate when they say there's a 38% drop in TVs, in households watching TVs. And Nielsen is padding this thing. They're padding it, and they're admitting it down here. They're admitting that they're Paddington Bear this year using a new system. And you'll also notice they say the first Super Bowl to include out-of-home viewing was 5 years ago. Nielsen began including out-of-home viewing into its national TV measurement in September of 2020, which means that the first Super Bowl that was measured that way was 2021, right? And if we go up here, what do we see, ladies and gentlemen? If we go to 2021, 95 million, and started rising ever since. This is the first time they've measured using all of this, social media stuff. And we don't know what that means exactly, but one thing we do know is these are not the same numbers. These are not the same measurements that are happening that always happened in the years prior. This is new. This is different. Variety is stumbling over itself trying to report this. Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show reached an average of 128.2 million viewers, breaking various NFL social media records. Huh? Are you telling me that the halftime show was viewed on social media 128.2 million times? What is going on here? The amount of smoke and mirrors is nonsense about this. Like, stop the propaganda. This is just silliness at this point. And then they switch and they say Nielsen measured 124.9 million viewers for this year's Super Bowl, higher than the average of 124.9 million overall this year. That makes no sense. Who is writing this stuff? That is the exact same number restated. And I know what the average overall this year even means of the other games. This is gibberish. But lower than the 133.5 million viewers from Kendrick Lamar's record-setting show last year. So the numbers that they told you were lies. We told you they were lies. Now they've come out and they've disguised it and say, well, it's the second best ever. And Nielsen says that. Don't pay attention to the fine print from Nielsen. Don't pay attention to the fact that Nielsen is now measuring this with a completely different system that they're admitting in the fine print at the very bottom of the article. The first Super Bowl reported using Nielsen's big data plus panel methodology, which basically means we're going to get you some bigger numbers. And how are we going to get you those bigger numbers? We're going to measure lots of online stuff and not explain exactly how we're doing that. That's how the game is played, folks. And that's why you might dislike Samba TV. You may say Samba TV is not reputable. I don't know what you think about Samba TV. Maybe 1% of the population even knows enough about Samba TV to make a declaration about it. But here's what I'll tell you about Samba TV. They're measuring the same way this year that they did last year. And Nielsen is not. Nielsen couldn't get the Super Bowl to be the record breaker. They couldn't get Bad Bunny above Kendrick Lamar. And Samba TV, measuring the exact same way, found a huge drop. Let's talk about Samba TV with the panel right now. Super Bowl, according to Samba TV, Super Bowl 60 delivered another massive night of television, and the data tells an interesting story. Our latest viewership insights reveal 48.6 million U.S. households. By the way, they put it somewhere around maybe 100 million, 120 million, right? Because a household has multiple people in it. Most of them. Households tuned into Super Bowl 60, representing a 13% decrease from last year's game. But only 26.5 million U.S. households watched Bad Bunny's halftime performance, down 39% from Kendrick Lamar's 2025 show. Down 39%. What else does that mean? Folks, look at the difference in those who tuned in the Super Bowl and those who tuned in the halftime show. About half left when the halftime show began. Now you can say Samba TV Pro, that's not a reputable source, blah, blah, blah. Folks, Samba TV they don't measure the same way as Nielsen. We get that. We know that. But Samba TV is measuring against their own data from last year. And they're showing a 39% decline. We'll talk about all that in just a minute, but first I want to go to Jonas. Jonas, your thoughts on the way the media is framing this, trying to drive people into a conclusion that simply is nonsense, and I don't know what they're going to do once the Nielsen numbers come out. Frankly, though, I'll tell you this. When Nielsen comes out, I do have questions for Nielsen. We don't know those numbers yet, but Nielsen has started counting quote-unquote out-of-home viewership, where they assume the viewership inside bars and airports and hospitals and all that kind of stuff. And I ever since they started doing that, I don't care for it. But Jonas, what do you think about just the media flat out lying to people?
It shows that they have a need for this to be the narrative. That's what's important to them. They don't care that a lot of the audience doesn't listen to reggaeton and doesn't care about Bad Bunny, generally made uncomfortable by music that they don't understand the lyrics to, because there's a large portion of the population of the United States that doesn't speak Spanish. And
they'd be a lot more uncomfortable, Jonas, if they could actually understand what those lyrics were.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, let me just. I'm gonna clean up the lyrics as best I can.
Let me say this before you
go
say
ahead.
that. They need this to be a big thing because they want this to be political. They want it just political enough that they can say that they made a point against the other side, and that is why they need this narrative to be what they are trying to present it as. It's because it is a culture war thing, and they want to say, how dare you make it into a culture war thing when you notice that it's a culture war thing? Go ahead.
Let me just, so people understand, I'm going to clean this as best as I possibly can, the lyrics to one of the songs, okay? These are the lyrics. Female anatomy with male anatomy with derriere, and then there's a little lyric here about thrusting. Female anatomy with male anatomy with derriere. Yes, another reference to thrusting. Female anatomy with male anatomy with derriere. Your chest area with my chest area. This year, I don't want women of the night. They see, like, these are the lyrics. I'm cleaning this up as best I can. It's worse than Big Butts, man, in terms of like just how explicit this is. The entire song is about the motion of gyrating with a woman of, shall we say, lesser class. Good Lord. Samba TV. Yeah.
This is what the Washington Post declared a wholesome, family-friendly show.
Yeah, I'm struggling. The whole song is about something I can't say. I just can't. I have no way of actually relaying to you what the lyrics are for the song. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the Washington Post's headline, I'm just trying to find it here. Yes. In general, Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show had the kind of wholesome, traditional family values that would have fit right in with some of the more sentimental commercials that appeared during the game.
Oh, beautiful.
I cannot believe they tweeted that.
So I know what the lyrics are, and in English, if you translated them, and this is one of those smoke and mirrors shows. The production of it, they actually had children in the show. They have Bad Bunny awarding his Grammy to a child. They had young children on the stage with them in various places. Wow, like really backed up to ladies that were twerking in very short shorts. Like it was really weird. Like to call this a family-friendly show when like if you actually know the lyrics he was saying, who he was saying in front of, and then the picture that they were showing attempted to show a different thing than what was actually happening. It's all, like subliminal type stuff. It was one of those things where, they want you to feel like it's wholesome, like it's family friendly. Because they don't want you to know the actual messaging that they're trying to get past the parents into the heads of the kids.
Let me try again, folks. Imagine this as vulgar as you possibly can, and then it's worse than that. It says, really big chest like somebody, a celebrity. Really big butt like another celebrity. I don't know why I haven't seen your nether regions, but let's go to the bedroom and do the thing with some things on.
Wait. So I've heard that he cleaned up the lyrics for the Super Bowl. I didn't watch this because it was a confluence of two things: my lack of interest in football and my lack of interest in Bad Bunny. Also, Sony was trying to make him happen a while back. He was actually going to get his own Spider-Man movie not so many years ago, if everyone remembers that. Yeah, that got canceled.
How would that have made any sense?
It didn't, and most of the audience agreed that didn't make any sense. They also were going to do an Aunt May solo film at some point too. So Sony, not exactly the most forward-thinking company out there. They did cancel it. But were these lyrics actually said in Spanish during the show? Or are these the songs that he sang and and that's the explicit version of
Well, I mean, that's all the song is. I don't know how it could be made unexplicit, but I'll tell you this. Even Spanish speakers have a hard time understanding this guy because it's mumbling dialectual nonsense. Real quick, Mo, let me get you in on this, but that Park Place says Samba TV shows second year of viewership decline for Super Bowl halftime show as media touts record Bad Bunny viewership. Listen, folks, they are doing everything they can to mess this up and muck this up, and we told you this was going to happen. We told you they were going to, number one, say that it was no big deal. TPUSA was no big deal. And then the second thing they're going to say is they're going to insult the people who actually did go watch TPUSA because it is a big deal. So they're going to use traditional broadcast television, streaming platforms, mobile devices, out-of-home viewing, we talked about that, and co-viewing audiences to project a number. You know they're going to do this to project a number that's not real once they ever get to the point. But Samba has already struck them out with this. Mo, is it Sir Mix-a-Lot? Was that the song about Big Bohunkus, or Big Bohunkai, I believe is the plural? That is made to be like Jack and the Beanstalk compared to what we just watched. I mean, it's like those songs from the 90s that people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're singing that. They're like nursery rhymes compared to this guy. And he was out there dancing with kids.
Yeah, no, the whole thing was disgusting. And as somebody that understands Spanish pretty well, I used to be able to speak it, but you use it, you lose it. But
once that ball hat or that ball bat hit you, man, it's never been the same. We do apologize, but at least you learned Italian.
Maybe I did. Maybe I'll start speaking to hit me again. No, but it's you know what? As somebody that understands, especially when you learn a language, you learn all the bad words first. I didn't really hear much of that, and I believe that he said all that stuff, but even people that speak Spanish didn't understand what he was saying. They're like, I don't know what he's saying. So like he was mumbling it. Like seriously, there were people I know that speak Spanish I'm friends with. They're like, I didn't know what he was saying. But I love how they say it's family friendly with two guys.
Oh yeah, grinding,
gesticulating. Okay, I didn't know how far I could go.
We can say grinding.
Yeah, behind a truck, and then. Well, I got two words for you, Pedro Pascal. That automatically makes that whole halftime show not family friendly. All right. But yeah, I unfortunately suffered through this because I had to watch it so nobody else would have to. So
and look, it's not to say that the Turning Point USA show was perfect, because like I hated the Kid Rock set. I really didn't like it at all. He was clearly lip syncing. I didn't like that. But I liked all the other performances they had. And here's the thing about YouTube and Rumble viewership, because Turning Point USA reported 25 million people watched. They said it on Fox News that night. That is verifiable because that is from YouTube and Rumble. That is you can have those numbers. You can have actual graphs that show you when the viewership spikes and whatnot. So they're now trying to say that it was only 5 million. Most of them were bots. It was probably only really 1 million. They are working as hard to tear down the Turning Point USA show as they are to build up this Bad Bunny show. And just look at how how much fun everyone in the audience is having during the Bad Bunny show.
Oh, they loved it, right?
3 people dancing.
I'll tell you this, when it comes to the Bad Bunny stuff, the play here is very simple. They want you to not be able to understand what he's singing. They want him to go out there and sing lyrics that are just so offensive to women that it's unbelievable. While in the presence of children, if you want to know toxic masculinity, this would be the toxic masculinity. Go look up the lyrics, folks. You won't believe them. You won't believe them. And then at the end, for the masses who don't know what was just presented to them, the only thing more powerful than hate is love. It is total and utter debauchery. And I'm no prude, but listen, go look at these lyrics. They're insane. It's total and utter debauchery. Presented as if you don't like it, you're a racist. Then when nobody falls for that and refuses to watch it, they lie about the ratings. They lie about the numbers. They're caught now. They don't care. And now we'll go to phase 2, which is, well, screw you. You guys are anti everything Latin America. And guess what, folks? The Puerto Ricans that I know, they don't appreciate this whatsoever because it's mocking their culture in their opinion. Mocking them. And that's where we are. Guys, final thoughts on Bad Bunny, the Super Bowl, and just the fact that they're just lying. They just make things up to the point, and they don't even care if they're caught. They don't care.
If it had been a good show, the people in the stands would have gotten robbed anyway. Because, if you look at the shot that we were just looking at, people that were actually there that paid like thousands of dollars to go to the Super Bowl to maybe see the Super Bowl and the show, they couldn't see anything anyway. And from what I could tell, they couldn't hear that well. This was specifically produced for TV, and there was nothing about it that gave the live audience something worthy of watching.
Yeah, and the whole thing is they're kind of burying the lead here. You can't say that it got record halftime show numbers when it was a game with two teams that really nobody cared about compared to other Super Bowls. It was like two teams that were mismatched. And if you're a Patriots fan, great. And if you're a Seahawks fan, awesome. But the Seahawks are not a big market, and they don't have a lot of fans across the nation. So right there alone proves the point that they're pretty much lying, because nobody's going to tune into a halftime show. It's a captive audience is the prevailing notion. They can leave if they want to, but most of them sit through it, or they go to the bathroom, or they get their food out of the kitchen while this is going. So it usually kind of stays steady. But the fact that you're saying like it's the best ever when it's a Super Bowl that most people don't care about, and most people planned on those ratings to be lower. It's not because the Super Bowl was worse per se. It was just the teams didn't have the draw that most Super Bowls do. So that whole thing on its face I didn't believe it right out of the gate just because of that fact.
This is what the people who spent thousands of dollars to go to the Super Bowl, this is what they got to see. They have no idea what's going on. This was entirely made for television, and yet half the people who are watching the Super Bowl on TV, according to Samba TV, not according to a bunch of jerks online, Samba TV that measure this stuff, says half the people who are watching the Super Bowl turn this off. Made for TV, not watched on TV. And now they're going to lie as hard as they can. Can you imagine, guys, if you spent all that money and this is what you got to see? You couldn't even tell what was going on.
They're in a hedge maze.
Oh, boy. Children of the corn. Children of the sugar cane. That's Bad Bunny. Folks, it's time to bid you adieu, but we hope that you will help us anew. And that is, we're only asking you click that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, have you gone the way of thatparkplace.com? www.thatparkplace.com. It's the website that if you're not yet bookmarked to, well, you should be. A bastion of truth and knowledge when it comes to entertainment and everything that's going on. Go check it out today, folks. We would love to have you over there as well. All right, we are getting ready to head out, but do not fret, for we will put out 4 more videos tomorrow, so long as the good Lord allows. And we believe that probably, just might, happen. All right, until the next time we get to share time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.